What is going on, guys? It's again back with a brand new video, and today we'll be talking about is F1 2014 just F1 2013, the game reskinned, and basically is it just a filler for the next gen version, which we all pretty much are hoping will be the best F1 game of all time, of course, coming out next year in probably about June, July time, I predict, basically just earlier on in the season, and then of course the current October release, which I'm sure many people, including myself, have said is way too short. Way too long on into the season. With just I think about 4 or 5 races to go once it actually comes out. It's pretty ridiculous, and probably one of the worst times to release an F1 game at that sort of time. I think it's pretty much a lot better to be releasing it a lot earlier in the year, which they should be doing for F1 2013. So let's move on with the video then and talk about, is it a filler, and sort of, is it just F1 2013 reskinned? I'm mainly making this video just because yesterday we've had the IGN gameplay, the sort of first official gameplay video we've actually seen. We have seen, I think, a few pictures of the actual gameplay, but we did finally see some F1 2014 gameplay on IGN, and a lot of people are very angry, so that's basically why I made this video, just to give my own thoughts and personal opinion. And I've said since they announced the next gen version, but the old gen version is always going to be a filler, just ready for F1 2015, of course, on the next gen. They're clearly building for that, and I never really expected that much from F1 2014, but the things I did expect were a couple of new features and a few nice changes with some good handling, and basically to fix the online. I think if that was the case and there was a good solid online, and maybe they changed the HUD or the menus a bit, maybe added a couple of things new to career mode, I think people will be happy, and I think that's the expectation level that many people had, especially with, in real life F1 2014 has been such a different year. So, you would expect from a new F1 game in a season where we're seeing so many changes, for the game to have some changes from its former title, F1 2013, we would expect quite a few changes going on into the game between 13 and 14. But that pretty much looking at the actual gameplay. Of course, you could say it's an early build, but I think most of the YouTubers who have played early builds before, so it's pretty close to the game and probably about 95% complete. It did say work in progress, but I remember Luke Spring saying on Twitter about a couple of weeks ago that the game they've got now is pretty much 99% complete, and that's probably what this awful person from IGN was playing. I know a lot of people, including myself, were very angry how bad that person was who was playing the F1 game. Of course, IGN have probably, hundreds of people, maybe even 1,000 people working at IGN. It is a massive company with over 5 million subscribers, and you think they'd have someone better at racing games, and for some reason that guy was picked, and he did receive a lot of hate. And I suppose you could say rightfully so, of course. Nothing to do with him, it's obviously IGN's fault for picking that person. But I do think on, Codemasters' part, it's a bit of bad press, really, because we found out the first gameplay from this IGN source, on a small screen in this video with some really bad driving, but it really does not show off the game. Codemasters, they didn't even publicise, they didn't even retweet IGN's tweet of, we've got some F1 gameplay, check it out. Codemasters, has seemingly had nothing to do with that, and I think IGN, of course, are going to get so many views from making this video, of course, and having the first honour of having the first F1 2014 gameplay. But in my opinion, Codemasters should have brought in some of the YouTubers like Alex Afro, Arava, obviously couldn't get TM at Marnikin, maybe Into the Barrier, of course now he's kind of retired, but there's plenty of YouTubers you could have brought in, or even have an open event, somewhere at, say, Eurogamer, or just go somewhere maybe a bit more nearer to the time, just so we can have the first bit of gameplay. About a month to go, it could be some proper gameplay with some proper racers on a proper capture carded video, not like it was where we just had a camera and saw him and the TV screen with F1 2014 on. Then we could have seen a bit better of the graphics, and I think they did that basically because they didn't want to hear people, they didn't want to let people hear the sound properly, and also look at the graphics, because maybe they're not as pleased with it, and maybe they might think that it will put a lot of people off, which I think last year it kind of did a bit. I think, you know, there's so much hype around F1 2013 last year with the classic contents. Many people were expecting it to be, you know, the best F1 game. Yes, sadly it didn't turn out that way. So I'm hoping it's going to be opposite with F1 2014. And, you know, if we look at the HUD, it's pretty much the same as F1 2013 and F1 2012. There's no really new features, and there's only the same kind of options, and everything pretty much looks the same. F1 2013 on F1 2012 was also pretty much the same, just a couple of changes. Of course, no KERS now, so all you basically got now is the DRS, and the gear thing is a lot bigger. Everything just seems to be blown up a bit, maybe just to fill a bit more of the screen up. But, you know, it was a shame that they couldn't just put some new nice graphics in there, you know, with a new game. But, you know, that's quite a bit of a shame, I think, and maybe not the best marketing, I don't think, from Codemasters for this F1 game. And it's looking likely they're just going to do hot laps for maybe, you know, a release trailer until it comes out. So it's not the best publicity to have all this, you know, especially that really bad driver. But hopefully some of the YouTubers will get hold of it. Although I was speaking to Alex Afro yesterday, and he said they haven't been invited, or you know, there's no plans to go. And of course, usually they would sort that out about 3 weeks before. And it's about 4 weeks now, so I don't really suspect any YouTubers to be going, although, well, that's what he said anyway, but I think they could be, maybe. But hopefully some of them do, so we can get some proper gameplay, and we can actually see if F1 2014 is any good. And I think a lot of people will not be buying this game. A lot of people have said they won't be buying it, who probably will. But I think, you know, a lot more, you know, obviously last year said they wouldn't be buying it. But I think this year a lot more of those are going to be people who actually aren't going to be buying it, just because they're just going to be waiting until F1 2015. Because I think you're forking out £40 for this game, and then when it comes out on next gen, it'll probably be around £45. So that's another, you know, over £85 you're spending in 12 months on 2 F1 games. And one of them, you know, could be mediocre, so and one of them, of course, could be really good. So I think mainly everyone's just hanging on to the hope of F1 2015 being one of the best F1 games ever, and hoping for all this hype and bad press about F1 is untrue, and hopefully we'll get a cracking game in F1 2014. I'll be reserving, you know, my full judgment on the game until we actually get the game, but I think initial impressions are not very good, and I'm not sure many people are pleased. There's a number of things, you know, from the LED screens, as I don't think I mentioned yet, and of course the unchanged HUD, I think, has upset a lot of people. But anyway, MSP Racing there, be sure to leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. The question I want to know is, will you be buying F1 2014 or will you be waiting for F1 2015? And of course, I'll be buying F1 2014, putting gameplay on the channel on that, because I just really want to play an up-to-date F1 game, and that's pretty much my only choice. On, you know, as I don't have a gaming PC, I know a lot of people on the PC side of things will be skipping this game probably and going on to mods on rFactor. And other games, of course, even I think Project Cars might have a couple of F1 cars in, and of course Forza 5 does. But anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.